Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the June Lebanon Historic Preservation Commission meeting. We'll take the roll. Oh gosh, I just realized I don't have board members' names in front of me here.
Scott Allen, present.
Andrew Anderson, present.
George Piper, present. And by phone, we have Casey Sampson. We do have a quorum to conduct business. I'm going to table election of officers. I'm not sure why that's on the agenda. Derek, didn't we elect officers back in February?
I don't think we've had a meeting this year, George. Have we?
Have we?
We have not.
No, I didn't think we had.
Wow, we have not had a, wow, okay.
That's fine to go ahead and table that. We'll leave it as is until we can get kind of a full board. What I would ask is, could you consider moving the other business to the top of the agenda tonight? Corey Coots is here with the Heart of Lebanon and has a request, but he also has an engagement to get to here.
Sure.
That's
sure.
being hosted by the city. So if you're okay with that,
Yeah.
He's ready to make his request, and as I mentioned to you all in an email earlier today, they have a request for some of their temporary art displays that they would like to do for this year. I don't have anything to give you necessarily, but I did allow them to go ahead and be here tonight under other business because it's relatively a straightforward request. Certainly at least one of them, and the other is something I think we should consider tonight. So.
Okay, we'll move that up to the top of the agenda, or move that next on the agenda. So Corey, when you're ready.
Hi guys, thank you so very much. Corey Coots with Heart of Lebanon. I am the president this year. We are actually hosting a community exchange this evening and tomorrow. So we've got Main Street joining us from all over the state. So it's a pretty cool event. We've got two requests for the temporary art for this year. First one being something you guys have seen before. It's the pinwheels in the Pocket Park. So those do get damaged basically every year, but it's a relatively small cost for us. So we're gonna replace them with brand new ones and hopefully get those reinstalled. So they'll be exactly what you've seen in the past, just brand new. Do you wanna handle them separate or together?
Together, I think together.
Do it together? Okay.
We'll do them together.
So the second one, if you'll recall, we had last year the butterfly mural up on the side of CarMax. So this year we have kind of a unique opportunity, number one, to showcase some of that temporary art, and number two, can we zoom it in? Do I zoom that in?
Oh, he's got it. Oh, they were zooming in.
You got it too? Here, let's throw it. So the Redevelopment Commission was actually lucky enough to obtain what's commonly referred to as the NetTech building. That NetTech building, as you recall, has a beautiful vinyl frontage. But on the side facing Washington Street has a large brick opening, essentially. So the hope is to, in partnership with the Redevelopment Commission, put some temporary art up there. So this is actually a media that we've not worked with before, but we've seen the application, looks fantastic. So this is actually an aluminum attachment to the building. So this is made out of aluminum. This is one of the items that they've installed to give you kind of an idea of what ours is hopefully going to look like. We don't have the final renderings. The final renderings are done by the company to make sure that everything transfers properly onto their aluminum. But the theme this year is doorways to the past, present, and future. So what you see here is a mural with a doorway to, say, the building of the courthouse, obviously something kind of like today in the middle, and then our future, which is obviously the youth of society. So also integrated there, you see that kind of dotted line. That signifies our Big Four Trail and the importance of that through our community. So that would be pretty much the theme. A couple of things here, and I don't know that those come up quite right. They're a little bit brighter on there than what they appear, but this is a basic color palette that we would stay within. So notice no like neons or anything too awfully crazy. Mostly earth tones, greens, blues, pick up a little bit of those brighter colors, the yellows and the reds, just for some accent pieces. As far as the material itself, so we've been assured by the manufacturer, they do this in multiple areas. Actual lifespan of the product is about 18 months from what they've seen. They're based out of the Midwest. They're actually out of Kansas. So they're used to similar climates that we deal with. We anticipate this is just going to be a this season, just like we did with the butterfly. So we're talking about late May, early June installation, hopefully. Take it down somewhere before things get bad in the winter, whatever that looks like. And this is 100% recyclable material, and it has been used in historic buildings before. So it's a product they're used to dealing with. Does not damage the surface. They've done it multiple times as applications. Their only recommendation is it's not painted brick, which is what we're working with too. So,
Okay.
so those are the two requests.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Coots?
I have no questions.
Go ahead, Casey, and then if we can't hear you, I'll relay the question. Go ahead.
Corey, thank you for the presentation. I'm sorry, I'm joining via phone, and I heard, I would say 99% of it, but was unable to hear how it actually was attached. Could someone or you re-explain that, if you did?
So how is it attached?
How it adheres. So it's an adhesive. It does not access the brick in any way. I'm not exactly sure of the components of that adhesive, but it installs much like a large vinyl mural, to be honest with you. With as thin as the aluminum is, it's a pretty light adhesive, and they assure us when that adhesive removes, even at the 18-month mark, there is no damage to those historic buildings they've already installed. One thing that they did notice was they did an application on brick that was painted, and they had two issues with it, I guess would be the best way to put it. The first was creating separation from that and the paint itself because of the way it adheres. And the second was it did create some damage to the paint layer itself. So not the physical brick, but the actual paint layer. So that's why we actually considered putting it in the pocket park, but as you know, that's painted there, so that's not a worthwhile application.
Did you catch all that, Casey? Yeah, that is not a painted surface. Yeah.
Correct. And the other piece of that too, just as peace of mind, so I believe if you look at it, there is some paint residue on there, correct? That's going to be part of the process with the RDC. So we'll have that most likely restored completely anyway. So if it does pull minimal paint, we're still in good shape.
All right. Any other questions, Casey? All right.
I just have one quick question about the pinwheels. You mentioned they become damaged. Was that just with weather and normal?
Yeah, just wind itself. Okay. So they're torn, a little bit faded. So nothing crazy. Just we're going to get new ones.
Want to make sure they haven't been vandalized
nice.
Or anything.
No. And we thought about hanging up doors and antique windows as part of the theme, but I don't think that would be fantastic over people's heads. So pinwheels it is.
If there are no, any questions for staff before?
No, I was just going to comment that, as Corey kind of touched on, the redevelopment commission actually owns this building now. We closed on it last month. And the intent moving forward will be that it will be handed off to a investor developer to partner with the city and the redevelopment commission to completely renovate the structure. So this is actually a good opportunity to test this product because if there would be any adverse effects, it really doesn't have any long-term bearing on the envelope of the building because it will go through an entire facade restoration as part of the agreement when we hand it over to a private individual.
All right, fantastic. All right, if there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to propose a motion to...
Casey beat you to it, I'll take a second.
I'll second it. Thank you, Casey.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you, Mr. Coots. Yeah, that's going to be a fantastic project, yeah. I appreciate all the work you do for Heart of Lebanon, Corey.
Yes, thank you, and thanks for the adjustment in the schedule.
Yep, no problem. All right, so just jumping back quickly, approval of minutes, and I don't have any in front of me. Were there, and
There should have been in the packet there, maybe?
my screen closed down, so it's probably on the previous.
You know what, for whatever reason, they're not in that folder. I don't know if it didn't sync or what, so if you want to...
We can just hold off till next month, yeah.
That'll work.
And just approve them all at that time. All right, I don't believe there's any, is there any old business that coming before us today, Derek? I don't believe there is.
No, I mean, if you are comfortable with it, George, I'll go ahead and close out the other business with the staff COAs that have been submitted.
Yes, please.
There's been two of significance since the last time we met. The first is 126 West Washington Street, the Four Finger Distillery. That's currently going through some renovations. I did approve their sign package that they submitted. So they were in an appropriate location for the structure, which allowed me to go ahead and approve those on a staff level. The other staff COA that was submitted was 124 South Lebanon Street, Carmack Pub. About 4 or 5 months ago, they had a car go through their storefront, and we discussed some bigger storefront renovations at that point, but the owner is actually trying to transition out of that building and is open to selling it, so he decided just to deal with the insurance company and then put it back exactly the way it was. So I considered that more or less general maintenance, and it was approved by the staff. So those were the two that I wanted to discuss tonight, or at least present to you. So that does close out other business at this point.
All right, great. Any questions on those staff COA reports?
Nope.
All right. Moving on to new business then, we have a couple of certificates of appropriateness. The first one is for Travis Stauffer, 114 South Meridian Street. It is for paint removal, brick restoration, and a first floor storefront replacement windows. First, we'll hear from staff, and then we'll hear from the applicant.
And George, Mr. Stouffer is not here tonight. We'll go ahead and present that, but if you don't mind continuing the theme of the evening and rearranging the agenda, Tracy Tranum is here tonight with the 207 East Washington Street application, so if you don't mind handling that one first, we can hear that and then get her out of here.
Fantastic. We'll jump ahead to that then. So we will jump ahead to number 2 then on the new business agenda. It's Robert and Tracy Tranum, 207 East Washington Street for brickwork. So.
Yep. Okay.
We'll hear from the applicant.
Yeah, the applicant tonight is 6T Holdings, LLC, who is managed by Robert and Tracy Tranum. The address of the application tonight is 207 East Washington Street. The First Baptist Church is the property. The property is zoned central business, and this property has not been before the Historic Preservation Commission previously. I'll touch on this in the staff analysis, but this application was borderline whether or not staff could approve it or not, but it does hold an outstanding classification in our district. An outstanding is the highest grading that any structure in our district can achieve. So that is why I decided to bring it to the commission tonight, just to make sure we were keeping everyone safe here. So to speak. So with an outstanding classification, the definition of that is a building which is more than 40 years old and is of significant architecture or historical significance that is listed or may be listed in the National Register of Historic Places. Outstanding structures may be of local, state, or national importance. In this case, the classification is because of the architectural significance. The structure is included in the National Register of Historic Places, Lebanon Courthouse Square Historic District. The action requested tonight, as you mentioned, George, is brickwork, basically, on the building. The applicant is seeking approval to re-brick 2 openings on the east-facing wall of the building. The openings have most recently accommodated workings for the organ that was in the church. The organ is no longer in this space, and the applicant would like to install matching brick into the openings to accommodate the reuse of the inside. The mason is proposing to weave the brick in place in a manner that will make the openings virtually blend into the existing brick of the wall. And what I mean by that is, as you start to deal with openings, sometimes you deal with a surround that is cut, the brick is cut so that it terminates where it needs to for the opening. So when you weave brick into an existing opening, you basically pull out those half bricks and make them consistent all the way across that will match the courses that are below and above the window. So that's what I am referring to by blending into the existing brick. And in addition to the work described above, the applicant is going to tuck point the entire structure, repair the parapet wall on the south-facing side of the building, and install a new roof. Let's see here. I can show you some pictures here of the openings, I believe. Well, you have those pictures. I'm not able to sync here tonight. For whatever reason. We're having some technical difficulties, so we'll skip that since you all have that. The applicant knows what openings I'm talking about, and I doubt there's anybody watching us on YouTube Live tonight. Sorry to burst your bubble. So, staff recommendation. The openings the applicant is proposing to brick are nearly in a space where they are not visible from the public view. However, staff felt compelled to bring the application to the commission because of the outstanding rating of the structure. Staff believes the brickwork presented in the application does not have a negative impact on the structure or the district. Recommendation from staff is to approve the COA application as presented. So that's all I have for you from the staff report. Tracy Tranum, as I mentioned, is here tonight in the audience, so if you have any questions for her, she's happy to answer them, I'm sure. If there's any other questions that the commission has for me at this point, I'm happy to answer those as well.
Any questions for staff at this point?
No questions.
All right, we'll hear from the applicant. If you can step to the microphone, please. Just give your name and address for the record, please.
Tracy Tranum, 403 East Washington Street.
All right, and is there anything you'd like to add from what Derek talked about in the report?
No, he pretty much put it in place. We're just, I think the building will actually look better because the brick will be there instead of the metal and the plywood that's starting to look really bad. So, and they're going to do that hopefully when they do the tuck pointing and the parapet wall all at the same time. So.
All right. Any questions for the applicant? Casey, did you have anything? Okay. All right. If there are no other questions, I will entertain a motion for this project. Or for the application, I should say.
Go ahead, Casey.
I think he's waiting for you, Scott.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the COA as proposed.
Do you have a second? We have a second from Casey. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, back to the first item under new business then. Thank you, Ms. Tranum. Good luck with the project. The 114 South Meridian Street, what do you have for us, Derek?
114 South Meridian Street. The applicant, the last I knew, was supposed to be here tonight. I don't know what's happened. Obviously is not. I'm happy to go ahead and make the presentation. We can move forward as you feel appropriate. If you want to continue it to the next meeting, we can certainly do so. But this is a pretty straightforward application, so I'll go ahead and read the staff report and we can go from there.
Okay.
The address, as you mentioned, George, is 114 South Meridian Street. The applicant is 114 South Meridian Street LLC, Travis Stouffer. The property is zoned central business, and this property has not been before the HPC either. The classification of this building is contributing, which is a couple notches below outstanding. So you have outstanding, notable, and then contributing, and then non-contributing. Contributing definition is a building which is less than 50 years old and which is compatible with its historic surroundings, or a building which is over 40 years old and whose historic character remains but does not rise to the level of notable or outstanding. This building is included in the National Register of Historic Places, Lebanon Courthouse Square Historic District. And the reason this building is contributing and not notable with most of the buildings around the square is because they have been manipulated in the period prior to us having a historic preservation commission. And, you know, some of those manipulations were not appropriate historically. So that's what we're dealing with here in this building. The action requested tonight is brick restoration and storefront window replacement. The applicant is seeking approval to replace the current first floor storefront windows and restore the brick. The applicant is proposing new aluminum-clad windows, black in color, to replace the windows outlined in the attached elevation. The proposal is for the new windows to fit the existing, previously manipulated current openings. So we're not talking about a complete storefront restoration here, but the existing windows are a residential vinyl replacement window that are not appropriate for this building, and they've lost the thermoseal as well. Paint will be removed from the brick, allowing for complete restoration of the existing brick and mortar. The applicant will not repaint the building, not repaint the brick, leaving the brick natural after completion of the restoration efforts. Staff recommendation. Staff believes the replacement windows proposed are more appropriate than the current existing replacement windows. The masonry restoration is ideal and complementary to the process many structures in the district have undertaken. Recommendation from staff is to approve the COA as presented. Just to expand a little bit on the brick restoration, the paint removal, that is something that is certainly encouraged in our guidelines. And we've talked about it previously, but the knee-jerk reaction with these buildings is, oh my gosh, water's getting into it. What can I do to stop the water from getting into it? Well, let's paint it. Let's paint it so water can't get into it. Well, with these historic buildings, the brick is so porous that the water actually ran through it and out in 140 years ago. Not by design, that's just the way they worked, and that's what they had figured out. So if water was getting into the envelope, it was likely because of missing mortar or some other issues with the structure. Bad roof, bad coping, whatever the situation is. So when they painted these buildings, it actually traps the moisture in and compounds the problem. So that is why our guidelines highly suggest to remove paint, and I think we should support that as a commission. So this applicant, if they get approval tonight, will be moving on to the RDC seeking a grant opportunity for help with this effort. Same as the Tranums here before us. I did not mention that, but just wanted to add that to the staff report. Mm-hmm. So I am connected, I believe, back to our lovely system here, so I can show you the window openings that we are discussing here. Am I connected, guys? All right, let's broadcast me. Okay, so the storefront windows I'm referring to in this round of approvals are the windows outlined in the dotted, dashed green line. The window that is being proposed as far as replacement is, this is a, pretty plain Jane rendering, but it gives you an idea of what that window looks like. I think it's important to show that because it does eliminate some of the framing that was installed in these windows to separate the bank of two windows on each side. So this does open up the window and give it a more full glass type of feel, although not a complete restoration. As mentioned, it is a more appropriate window if you're talking about a replacement window. I would definitely support this window that he is suggesting to replace the existing residential windows over, just replacing the existing residential windows. So that is all I have. As mentioned, the applicant is not here tonight to answer any further questions, but I can give you a little bit of history about what the use of the building. There is an insurance agency on the first floor, a realty office on the first floor, and then there are 2 residential apartments on the second floor. And the applicant intends to leave it in that configuration.
All right, any questions for staff?
I do have a question. Derek, do you know if the applicant plans to address the existing siding on the building as part of this scope? It's not mentioned.
Not in this initial effort, not right now.
Okay.
All right. Casey, do you have any questions for staff? Okay. How do you want to proceed, Commission? I mean, as Derek said, it is a somewhat straightforward project. I guess unless anybody has any pressing questions for the applicant, I'm comfortable with moving ahead. All right, Casey has made a motion to approve the COA as submitted.
Second it.
Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Was that opposition, Casey? Or was that a late aye? Late aye, okay, all right, okay. So motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much. Derek, any other business before the commission tonight?
That is all I have. Thank you for accommodating the switch and all of the agenda items tonight.
Sure thing. And do you know if we'll have anything at the June meeting potentially?
Potentially, depends if I'm willing to accept a late application. And when I get put in that situation, honestly, it just depends on how much time I have to put together a staff report. I mean, the 30 days submittal deadline in our guidelines, is not a legal deadline. It's so that staff has enough time to digest the application, put a staff report together, ask questions to the applicant. So as long as it's a straightforward applicant, I've been pretty accommodating there. I am working with several applicants, as I've mentioned to you, month after month after month, when we canceled the meetings. But I'll know here in the next week or so.
Well, in that case, our next scheduled meeting is June 1st at 6 p.m. here in this same bat time, same bat channel. So if there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second? I'll second. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.